When the action is dominant than inertia and expression, we can say that the object is in motion. So all three are present in any object, but any one will be dominant, the other two will be under suppression. And anything can go up and down, ऊपर नीचे होते जाएगा. So this is this concept of three qualities in any object. There are two entities in this universe. One is knowable, the other is the knower. Suppose I know this chair. So the object of knowable is this chair. The chair is the knowable. Who is the knower? I am the knower. So who is the actual knower in me? Is it my mind or the intellect or something beyond that? Suppose I say my mind is the knower of this object. My mind is the knower of this object. But mind itself is an object of knowable. Can I know my mind? Can I know my mind? So here in this case mind becomes knowable. Then who is the knower? Suppose I say intellect. Intellect is the knower of the mind. Can I know my intellect? Yes, I can know my intellect. Again, intellect becomes an object of knowable. Then who is the actual knower? There is a difference between knower and knowable. So in this way, when we filter, ultimately we will reach a point. The ultimate knower has to be something which is an unknowable. Of course. And that's what spirituality says. The ultimate unknowable entity is soul, you can say, or you can say Purusha, you can say consciousness, pure consciousness, many words. God, you can say, anything, which is an unknowable entity, and that is the ultimate knower. And only this entity does not have these three qualities of action, of inertia, and expression. We can only guess about it because it's an unknowable. By applying our logic, we can arrive at a conclusion that this entity should not have these three qualities. So the point is, the whole philosophy, whatever we read, aims at understanding these three principles. If we understand these three principles, we can understand everything about the universe. Because these are the three qualities that are present in everything. So obviously this holds the key to know everything. A simple example, suppose this bag, okay? This is an object. It has a tendency to act 50%, at the same time it has a tendency to be at inertia 50%. Now what will be the state of the object? Will it be moving or will it be at rest? 50% action, 50% inertia. If it is at rest, then inertia is dominating then action. If it is in action, then action is dominating then inertia. What is the state of the object if it has 50% action and 50% inertia in it? Nothing. Yes. So we cannot imagine that state, right? It nullifies.
Positive and negative.
So before the creation of the universe, before this whole creation, these three qualities were at equilibrium. There was nothing. The amount of inertia, the amount of action, the amount of expression equaled each other. There was no expression. It was nothing before this universe was created. But the energy existed. The matter energy existed, but it was in equilibrium. Inertia, action and expression. Equilibrium meta. I already gave an example, this chair. I darken this room, right? I cannot see the chair when it is dark. But when there is lights, immediately I can see the chair. So similarly, there is something which caused this creation, which led everything to express itself. That is, again, that is the soul. When soul came in contact with this energy of matter, this energy came into life. It started expressing itself out, and that is we call as manifestation. of this manifestation of that energy. So whatever we see, whatever we do is the manifestation of that energy, which manifested itself in presence of Purusha, or in presence of soul. So Sankhya starts from here. There is a soul and there is a matter. I will say the technical term. Soul we call it as Purusha, and the matter we call it as Prakriti. When Purusha and Prakriti comes together, the whole creation came into existence, and it lists down 23 elements that manifests out of this union, and so it is called Sankhya. Sankhya means number. The total number is 25. One is Purusha, the other is Prakriti, and its evolution is 23. And in this 23 evolution, it explains everything about the universe, including our own self, including our own mind, everything. It doesn't discard anything. And this is the ultimate principle, Sankhya. It says everything about this whole creation. And that is Sankhya philosophy. The yoga philosophy goes parallel with this yoga philosophy. The path which is laid down to realize this truth is yoga. Yoga is a method. Yoga is a way to understand this principle. So yoga and Sankhya go parallel to each other. So ultimately I can say, right now everything is not in equilibrium. When everything comes to an equilibrium, there will be nothing, the existence will go. And that's what yogis does. They know how to bring their own three states into equilibrium. When they bring their own states into equilibrium, they disappear. I mean, realization or moksha, whatever the word they can use. So yoga is a practice where you constantly try and put effort to bring these three states into an equilibrium. Your mind and intellect, action, inertia and expression. If you bring it in equilibrium, there will be nothing. And that's the stage of realization. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any questions?
You told us about three states, right? Inertia, movement and expression. But aren't inertia and movement kind of same things? Because even when we are in movement, there is an inertia to stop the movement. So inertia and movement, are they not kind of analogous?
This is the point, that it is present in everything. Like right now you're sensing that both are in synonym.
Yeah.
Both are there. Both have to be there. If there has to be action, there has to be an inertia to stop.
No, what I'm saying is both are the same things.
Yes, both are the same thing.
But you
These
are terming them as two different things, right?
No, they're
See,
not this.
No. Listen, it seems to be, these are tendencies, number one. The tendency to act and the tendency to resist that. Right? These are tendencies of an object. When I say that these are the qualities present in an object, I've used a very loose term, that these are qualities. These are basically not the qualities in an object. These are the elements that binds an object. This is an element, three elements that binds an object. This object need to be there in any object, and without any one, the object will not exist. And this is a philosophy where it demands more of an experiential path to know this, rather than applying logic to it. If we keep on applying logic to it, we can apply logic to many things which it says. But what it demands is the faith in the philosophy and to experience it. I know it will be very tough concept to understand, because it cannot be understood. through mind. It can be only realized through experience. For example, so if it can experience, then what is the way to experience? And so we have another philosophy called yoga philosophy, where it asks you to observe your own mind to know this. When you observe your own mind, you will see these three states in your mind. The action that is going in the mind, at the same time what is the inertia that is going in your mind. Right now, am I able to manage my memory? Is it under my control, the memory?
Not completely.
Not completely.
Partially, yes.
Partially, yes. Okay. Is it possible that fully I can gain control over my memory? Is that state possible? If partial is possible, why not full?
It is possible.
It is possible. Then why are we not able to do that?
Because we have to be such of understanding.
You just
our
ignore the
trainings.
memories that are not necessary, and you just focus on a couple of memories.
It's still
And because
controlling
you
it.
keep manifesting that memory, as in your neurons keep thinking about that, then you don't have to think about so many memories. You just focus on one memory that keeps building on itself.
And
See,
it's
the
still controlling it.
the best example to give is, suppose can I consciously control the heartbeat, my heartbeat? It's right now beating at certain rate. I want to increase my rate. Can it do it just by thought?
Yes,
Can
it's
it-
possible. It can, because if you become anxious, your heart rate increases.
Yes. That happens
Even
unconsciously. Can I consciously control my heartbeat? Stop my heart now. Can I consciously do that?
But I can slow my heartbeat, like if I concentrate on my breath,
Yes.
I can slow my heartbeat.
Yes.
So
That is
actually I'm
yoga.
concentrating on my breath, but slowing of heartbeat is happening kind of
consciously thinking
because
about
of
the
that.
whole yoga.
That is a product of your action.
Yes.
The action is your concentration in the breath, and the product of that is, it's a side product, that is heartbeat is slowing down. Right now, this second, I want to stop my heart. Can I do that? No. But it is still part of your system. It is still part of your system. Why are we not able to do that? Being still a part of your system. If I am this body, if I am doing everything, I should be able to do everything in my, which is part of my system. So there are many things which are not under our control, but we can bring it under our control because it is part of you. And that, to achieve that state, we have this path of yoga philosophy. It clearly says how to proceed with this.
The eightfold path.
Eightfold, yes, that is one method.
The eightfold.
I think that's good.
Even
That
Yeah,
No,
Buddhism is eightfold.
see, even yoga philosophy does not talk anything very mechanically. Like you have to follow the eightfold path, or you have to follow this method, you have to follow that method. If you follow, then you will not get the result. When you follow, you are aiming at something, and then you follow. Suppose I say Buddhism. If everybody is following Buddhism, then why is there no Buddha yet? If Buddha has laid down this path, if everybody is walking in this path, तो अब तक तो बहुत सारे बुद्धा हमें मिल सकते थे, अभी तक क्यों नहीं मिले? Because one can never become Buddha by following a path. Everybody has your own path. What Buddha did was, that was his experience. That was his path. We cannot follow anybody other paths. It has to be our self. Whatever path you are walking is your path. That's it.
It's like everybody has his
Huh.
own different
But
journey.
what are these paths is just a guide.
Hmm.
It gives you a direction that something exists like this. No, you have to go through this. But not mechanically following through this. I have to speak Satya, so I will, from morning to evening, I will not speak any lie. That will not give you any result.
can't force it.
Yes. It's like torturing the mind. Your mind needs to do something, but you're torturing it by saying no, do not speak lie. Any other questions?
You said the soul, the ultimate thing, it doesn't have any of these things. But from the beginning of the universe, according to your philosophy, it has been constant in us, in every part of, from the person is born to the person dies, even after death, according to philosophy, it is going to be constant. It is resisting change. Doesn't it have energy? And it also expresses itself through us. It's expressing itself through us, the soul.
The soul which we think is just an imaginary concept right now for us because we have not realized it. We do not know whether it exists. Right now, I have the feeling of only an I sense that I exist. I have the sense that right now I am talking. I know that I have that sense, that I am, and the rest all is different from me, that I am there. Sankhya what says is, mind is different and I sense is different.
Yeah.
In the path of evolution, it says the mind evolves out from I sense. If you do not have an I sense, you will not have mind. That's obvious. If you do not have an I sense that you exist, then you will not have mind because there is no role of mind there.
Yeah, because like, that's
Isn't your
exactly.
ego isn't your ego the I?
No, there are two types of I sense. One I would call it as ahankar. The other is, I will say, as
When I talk
what is
about
the
ego,
Suresha?
I do not mean
Asmita. Thank you. There are two ego. One is we call an ego. The other is just an I sense, not an ego. We are trying to mix up these two things. These two things are different.
When I say ego, I mean the psychological sense of one's existence. Like,
Yes.
she
That's
knows
I
my
sense.
sense.
That is I sense.
Yeah, so it is called ego too, right?
No. Ego
No.
is
It
an.
psychological.
Okay, I will explain this. What is the difference between these two? That I sense is just a sense of that you exist. It's very subtle. We are not even aware that that you are carrying this sense of I. But ego is a negative aspect of the mind. Like it thinks that how it roots out, I will say. There is something called ignorance, and there are only basically four kind of negative aspects that can evolve out of mind, and that can evolve only through this ignorance. Number one is the ego. The ego in the sense you think that you. Now, what is ignorance? Ignorance is a false cognition of the mind. There is something, there is an object, and you cognize about, the mind cognizes about the object. What if it cognizes falsely about that object? Then what kind of knowledge the mind will possess? A wrong knowledge about that object. So ego is that aspect which thinks that
Which means
you are the doer,
Yeah.
that you are, I don't know the words.
It creates this personality.
It creates a personality that you are actually different from everything.
And is that
And
external?
in that, when you think that you are different from everything, automatically you get into an attitude that you are greater than everything, and you will try to feed everything to boost your ego,
Yeah.
because you think that the real reality, the actual reality is you. There's nothing beyond this. So that negative cognition of the mind about your own self is an ego. Where pure I sense is just an I sense. Just an I sense. You know that if I block this I sense, there will be still you can exist. So the mind evolves out from I sense, but this I sense also evolves from something, and that is, we call it as intelligence. Okay, let's not get into that.
Yeah.
I hope that answers.
I have a question because we had the conversation last time, and I was very interested in how you got to this particular stage, because I don't know if everyone will know, Mani actually teaches engineering or science at college in Bombay, at RISV. And you mentioned that last year about the journey, about the intellect. And I thought the conversation was very interesting, Mani, because I always thought that this journey, right, like you always searching for getting that intellect. So what will happen if I read every single book in the world? Will I still, know who I really am? Because all the knowledge is externally coming in. And you mentioned that last year you went through this phase where you were not consuming any, text.
Exactly.
Like in the last 1 year, you didn't read any book at all. You were just spending time knowing yourself. Though before that, you used to read every single science book that was there. So what happened in that phase that led you to, you know, stop consuming, and what happened in that 1 year where you, how did you feel not reading anything? Because it'll be very hard for me to go through that in particular thing. No, I'm serious.
So maybe 1 year back, 1.5 years back, I used to read a lot. I used to see a lot of documentaries and know about stuff. That curiosity was always there, as we all have gathered on that curiosity to know more. So this curiosity was very, very high. I never used to learn even my own academic books, but I keep spending time on physics and recent discoveries. Everything. I believed that this will answer me everything, or I can know as much as I can. But then I stepped into philosophy by accident. I never wanted to learn, but just I tried. But during the course, I realized that the actual knowledge which we need to receive in our life does not lie in any books. Suppose he has read some book, he will have certain kind of knowledge. Suppose you have read some book, you will have certain kind of knowledge. Now you are collecting certain kind of knowledge throughout your life, and he is collecting certain kind of knowledge throughout his life. And both of you die. This is an example. No, what is the use of that knowledge? आपने बहुत कुछ knowledge लिया, but ultimately it has gone. What was the use of that knowledge?
To realize and apply.
As in,
Okay,
Spread it.
Spread it.
then you impacted somebody with your work, you use that knowledge to, like, you know, do something.
Have it in some
Yes.
written form.
So does it?
The knowledge can stay.
Yes.
So doesn't it come?
Knowledge
What
stays,
uses
but
it
not
to
with
you?
us.
Doesn't it come finally to self-satisfaction? Even if I do not, doesn't it come finally to a self-satisfaction of an individual? Right? So even if I do not read book, can I be self-satisfied? I'm satisfied with my life.
Yeah, sure.
Can I be satisfied? I'm not hurting anybody. I'm doing my duty, but I'm very much satisfied with what I have. So it doesn't matter whether I'm reading book or not reading book. There is something which you can experience, and through that experience you can gain more and more and more self-satisfaction, and that I found very much through the path of spirituality. The very there's an example that I gave you that day about not everything can be explained.
That's
Yeah, suppose what is the color of this? Sorry, what's this?
Use it as an example.
What is the color of this diary?
Maroon
Brown.
brown.
Okay, maroon. Suppose I have never seen this color. Suppose I have never seen this color in my life. मैंने ये color आज तक कभी देखा नहीं है. And it does not exist now. It has disappeared from this world. ये color किधर भी नहीं है. But you have seen this color somewhere in the past. Now explain me, how does this color look like?
Explain it with reference to what exists.
But it does not exist now. It is for you.
For example, like we said
Like
maroon,
you are-
Abhishek said brown. Since a combination of brown and a little tint of red, it gives you that color. So you can actually
Imagine.
color again.
Imagine. So I can imagine about that color. Will be the same what exactly it is now?
No, it can't.
It can't be. It cannot be explained.
Depends on the other person's imagination.
My dad used to give an explanation of this. He used to be like, okay, you, like, a person is there who eats an rasgulla and a person is there who doesn't eat rasgulla. Okay, so how is he gonna explain that what the rasgulla tastes like?
You have to
The person
experience
has
the
never,
rasgulla.
who has never
Yeah.
Never tasted. So there are plenty which are out there which can only be experienced. It cannot be put in words. It cannot be
like a record.
explained through words. No matter how much you try to explain through words, that will remain as it is. You can only imagine about it. That's what is happening. We read and we only imagine. We do not experience it directly. So the whole philosophy aims at giving you an experience of that sense which exists in nature. When you experience that sense, that gives you more and more understanding about everything.
I guess maybe that's the reason, you know, like, people who have not read book can like books. Because they have that experience, they have not read books as such. Like, I mean, I would give an example, but nobody will understand that. Like, this guy will only understand that. Bakuman mein that guy, Hiramaru, he has never read a book in his life. He has never read a comic book in his whole life, but he makes one of the greatest comic books ever. And that's all come to his experience and his experiential level with he had to work in
And
his
even
life.
adding to this, even some of the greatest fictional characters, when you read some of the greatest novels, these characters are not very, well-read academics. And why do we connect with them? To look like a Charles Dickens, David Copperfield, he comes from a very poor background and goes and why are we so intrigued by that story, by that experience? Because we're not looking at their academic grounding, we're looking at the experience they have went through and we're like, wow, this is quite, extraordinary or whatever.
See, suppose there is a purpose to everything. That every action will have a cause and will have its effect. Suppose I move this chair, it is displaced from its position. What was the cause?
Your force. You decided to move.
Yeah, there was a
Apply
cause
force.
to it. There was a cause to it, and it has its effect. It has displaced its position. There is nothing in this universe which is without a cause and without an effect. Every action will have a cause and an effect.
Yeah, every action.
Will have an effect. Suppose a baby is born. Okay, baby is born, and all the instruments that it has to know this world only is this 5 senses right now. The 5 senses say to know about this world, and it grows up. What if this particular individual grows somewhere in a jungle where it has never seen any human being at all in his life? अभी तक कभी एक ह्यूमन बीइंग को देखा नहीं है, पर it came up in a jungle. Now does it know any word? कुछ words पता होगा क्या उनके mind में? If it sees the sun, what will come to its mind?
It will be a dialect.
When it sees the sun, it will be only pure sight, it will be only pure experience of that sense of that object. But what has happened in the society is, if there is an object,
What was the store nearby, Jatan?
Ahmed Bakery.
Ambedkar.
Ahmed Bakery store near Ahmed Bakery.
Speak outside. Okay, कोई समझ
Siddha.
I think.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. Sorry.
A good example, just before you move on to that.
Okay, yeah, you can
About
share.
Native Americans. Do you know that when the ships came, conquistadors, when they came in their ships, for several days the ships were out there on the outline of the sea, the horizon, and they did not see them. The Native Americans never saw the ships before, so they did not see the ships, even though the ships were approaching. At some point, they realized there some waves. They could just only see the sea, and so they thought, what is with the sea? But the ships were there, and then it's just like an example.
That's kind of
They could,
Yes.
that
I mean,
was
they
not in
couldn't,
their-
because they don't know that anything that travels on sea or something, so they just thought that it's a sea.
Yes.
So for them, it was just a sea.
It's
and
part
for
of the
them,
sea. They didn't.
Oh
Okay.
wow, that's like a seaweed traveling on the sea.
It's a beautiful example. So there is one thing which is happening in our mind is, if there is an object, the word connected to that object and an idea connected to that object are mixed up as one. Actually, the word is different, the object is different, and the idea related to that object is different. But all three are mixed up as one in our mind. If we, again, yoga philosophy says, you have to break this connection. You have to separate these three out. When you separate these three out, what word will exist as a word, object will exist as an object, and the idea will exist as an idea. And what you will perceive is the object directly as it is, which is presented you. In that pure sense, you will receive more about that object rather than the
Rather
idea
than
disturbing
forming
you
the
to know
idea.
about that object.
I guess idea is one thing which is itself a resistance to
Yes.
understanding that object
Yes.
completely sometimes.
Words and idea itself is a resistance to know about that object.
Yeah.
When we do not have that, what you observe is a pure object and that is the truth, nothing else.
So Mani, tell us about, you told that you used to read physics and science books before and yourself are an engineer. So leaving everything else beside, when it comes to knowing the universe, and I'm stressing on the words, knowing the universe, what different approach did you find in philosophy that you are now completely into philosophy compared to science? What was your experience?
Here,
When it comes to knowing the
No, he
universe,
has
you
bias
still
knowing the universe.
prefer, like you told, the three that philosophy can say.
Say,
Give me the phone.
I'll go and get him.
Tell him chewing village.
showing village, right?
And tell him no Ottawa knows that.
No,
Mani,
the
you
first
were
Ottawa
you were
we went
mentioning
into.
4 types of ignorance and then you had trailed off at
yeah,
that
I will
point.
come back to this.
Okay,
I will
cool,
answer
cool.
this question. See, when it comes to, suppose I want to know about something. I want to know about something. एक object के बारे में मुझे पता करना है. There are only 3 ways in which you can know about that object. Number 1 is you directly perceive that object. आप directly perceive करेंगे through your senses. You know about that object. Number 1. Number 2. What if that object is not perceivable? Right? Can I see the minutest particle, I mean atoms or something? No, I cannot see that. So I cannot perceive that. So what I have to do to know about this is apply our logic, inference. We infer to know about that thing. This is second way of knowing, that is through inference. Now I'm not, suppose I'm not intelligent enough to even infer. Then what is the third method available? Then know from somebody who knows. Right? We get it from books, we get it from a third person, that is a testimony. We can say verbal testimony.
Yeah.
Now, out of these 3, which one is the accurate source of knowledge out of these 3?
The first one.
The first one, that is directly perceiving. The science mainly depends upon inferring, and what we study is through testimony. Right? We know many things through testimony, through third person, and that is a kind of knowledge that we are having. I should not even say that that's a kind of knowledge, that's a kind of information. It is just an information that we receive from out. That doesn't, we cannot call that as a knowledge. That is just as an information from the third person. And the second best level of knowledge is through inference. You apply your own logic, you have set of data with you, and with that limited set of data you infer that okay, this is this. Suppose in a mountain I see a smoke. I see a smoke. Is there a fire in the mountain?
Inference. Yeah. You saw the smoke and you
Yes.
applied your logic and
Yes.
fine.
Yes. No, it is. There's a mountain, there's a smoke. I do not perceive a fire, but I perceive only smoke. Through that, I infer that there has to be fire. Now, even in that, I have to infer something, I have to perceive something to know the unperceivable, non-perceivable, whatever it is. Right? I have to perceive the smoke in order to know there is fire. So ultimately, it comes to only perceiving, direct perception. If you directly perceive anything, whatever knowledge that you get out of it will be the right knowledge, and that is the best source of knowledge. And so, there is no need, I mean, in science, that's not possible to directly perceive everything. Suppose I'll give a very small example. There is one video I was watching of an IIT professor. He was talking about. You are late? Okay, thank you.
Goodbye.
Bye, everybody.
Come along next time as
Yes.
well.
Thank you.
Bye.
I was watching this video of this professor. He was talking about how precious is our ancient knowledge. or Indian philosophy. He gave a brilliant example. He says that in southern part of India there is one tradition that the couple after marriage. Why was smiling?
Oh, you got married in the south.
Where?
I thought Amma had a secret marriage in the south. He's not telling us about it.
Oh.
I'm joking. Joke's dead.
You joke really bad, man. Trust me.
It does happen.
Huh. There is one tradition, there is one practice. On the first day, on the first night, the couple have to see one particular star in the night sky. उसको हम बोलते हैं अरुंधति वशिष्ठ. We call that as Arundhati Vashishta.
Arundhati is a girl.
I don't know what's the English name.
Constellation.
I don't know.
She was gonna
Arundhati Vashishta. एक स्टार को देखना है. So they do that, and this practice is happening for thousands years, more than 1,000 years. If you ask today's physicist or scientist or astronomer, whatever, what is so special about that star, they will say that that looks like actually one point in the night sky, but it's actually a double star. There are two stars together, which looks like just one point for us from here. But there are actually so many double star system in the sky. बहुत सारे ऐसे double star system है. सिर्फ एक point जैसे हमें दिखेगा. But what is so special about that one particular star? They will say, they might say, this is how the double star system will look like. There will be one star in the center, the other star will rotate around it. But this one particular system is very different and very unique. Both the star, they rotate together like
Always
this.
happen.
Actually, it happens with every star.
It always happens
Every
like
double
that.
star.
I don't know, this is what
No,
I saw in
it
the
does happen with
video.
every double star.
Okay. So the point is, how do they know so many years before? Just by looking at it. And obviously it happens with many stars. How did they come to know about this today? Through lot of efforts? Of course.
A lot of effort.
Knowledge built on knowledge.
Knowledge built on knowledge only then.
Literally first hand.
What's the
With so
point
much
here?
system, with so much technology, they were finally able to know that. But the question is how they came to know about this so
When
long.
there was when there was no technology.
Yeah, but why are you saying that only?
What's
Yes, the
the
point is,
uh,
everything can be perceived directly, and you can know everything just by your five senses, which is given to you by whatever the universal force is, which is given to you to experience. Only purely by that five sense, only by that experience, one have the ability to know everything. Even to the atom, the minutest atom to the distant star.
Yeah, that is something.
Okay, I was gonna tell you about this when it comes to direct perception. Why science mainly, like we can see, it follows the inference method, because our senses are limited. You can't see infrared light. Okay, you can't directly perceive like a force like gravity. That's all. So there are limitations to our senses. There are animals who can see infrared light and we can't. So that is the limitation of our sense, our eyesight. So that's why we built all this technology and we saw the spectrum, and that's how we inferred that there is something below red, which is infrared. That's how we came to know this. So there are limitations to our perception. We can't perceive everything. Like sound, we can't hear sound about 20,000 hertz. So these are all our limitations. That's why science works, because we are trying to explain the things that our senses can't perceive directly. That's why the inference part comes in this. I think you might also agree on this.
Yes, it is very true that our perceptions are limited. It's limited in us, but it has a potential to become stronger. Potential to become stronger in the sense, suppose I say in the ancient time they know about things which is not perceivable. We do not have that ability to perceive right now because we are limited by our own perceptions. But this perception can be built and it can be refined, and that's a path laid through whatever the spirituality has.
Knowledge of ourselves.
Funny, I would like to I could add to that, like when we spoke before that knowledge itself is sometimes a restraint to doing things.
Knowledge itself is an ignorance.
Yeah, that is that is the thing here, right? Like what if we don't know that, like our knowledge is that okay, the eyesight can't grow, okay, like on common inference level, and
But it has the
grows.
ability to grow.
But it might have or might not have. It is being done by inference, it's not being done by direct perception. Now people who came to know that before in centuries, they didn't have any inferences. So they had the direct perception. So like some people can be, some people might not. So some people might.
No, see,
Mind-
mind has an infinite potential to do anything. It is only using that mind and refining that mind.
It's been told in by many people that we at this stage not use our mind to its fullest. It's only 1/4 of it.
That's what I was thinking about when you mentioned that.
Actually,
That is not
And
true.
it has been told
That's also
That's
it's a myth.
Unfortunately, there are many scientific myths, and we would like to bust them.
Can you
Someday.
please explain it?
Yeah,
Why?
you do
This will take a
use
long.
all of your mind. It's
So you will also all of your brain, not mine.
Yeah, brain. Okay, fine.
Okay, if you
Let's
want
not
to
get
look
into
at
that.
the dictionary,
When a person becomes
Let's not
blind.
talk about refining things right now.
Also,
They
we are not
two
refining, but we are
different
busting
things.
myths.
They are two different things.
No, but okay, Sid, remember we had a conversation yesterday about how the conversation itself was the teacher, not the person on either side. Like it's a concept of dialogue. Now this ability to have that dialogue, that you build more knowledge just with the same fundamental you're building, right? I mean that new intuition that comes in, like at least in the way I look at it. Okay, my screws are a bit loose, okay, but bear with me in your lingo. But like I think of the mind as a radio. Okay, first you have to break it, loosen the screws so that it's free enough to move from frequency to frequency, and then on that frequency you get certain thoughts.
Okay, it's a very valid point he made. I said that for everything there is a cause and effect. For every action there will be a cause for that action, and for every action there will be an effect. Suppose a newborn individual, a baby. If you notice this baby, it will show some liking and comfort to one particular sense, and it will always show some discomfort to another particular sense.
Yeah, there was a.
Right now, it is just a baby, does not know anything. What does it know? It knows nothing. It just perceives everything. It doesn't know anything. There are no words, nothing in it, in the mind. Then where did this come from? This liking towards that one particular sense and a dislike towards another particular sense. If you give a little salt, sugar water to it, it will like that taste. It may express it to smile, or it might like. But at the same time, if you put a little salt water, just a touch of a salt, or any other taste other than sugar, it will show some dislike towards it. Why? It could have done the same thing to the other. Then from where did this come from? Of a like and a dislike for a particular sense.
From its own experience of it.
It's just known.
It has perceived it as.
But it is very correct.
From its
It's
own.
the experience from the previous birth.
Okay.
Previous?
Are you saying that like a
Previous? Birth? Yes.
Incarnation.
Yes, this is karmic theory I'm talking about. These are very
Locally
certain.
born
See,
on
there are two different things. There's one complete domain here, which is without an experiential thing, and which is focusing on only one, in one direction. There's completely another domain available here through experience. Through experience, you can know about many stuffs, like about your own past, like what would be the future. The very example, there were some mystics. We have cases of mystics in history who were able to say about future, who were able to say about one's past or their own past and their own future.
Were they proved? Were they proved?
Yes. But these doesn't come in records or so as we follow today, that we want concrete proof to it. Even in science, you cannot just say anything without a mathematical proof. It will just remain as a, what is that word called for?
Hypothesis.
Hypothesis, yes.
Yeah,
It will remain as an hypothesis
But
until it is.
hypothesis should also be very Nice and
It's a
logical.
scientific
Should
hypothesis.
have basic.
That is scientific hypothesis.
Scientific
Because it should be logic.
Hypothesis.
But this one particular domain will not give you any proof. It only demands the faith of that person. If one enters, you can know about many stuffs.
You're talking about karmic study or just this spiritual?
Just spirituality.
I would actually like to differ from that. It actually offers a lot of evidence, but it does not offer evidence the kind of that you're seeking for. It won't confine its evidence to your methods. You have to learn its methods and see what kind of evidence it gives. Because sometimes, let's say mathematics, right? There's no proof that 1 plus 1 is 2. There's no proof. It's just a concept that you've built that this fits in with everything else I know. So that is the kind of narrative spiritual world
There is
has.
one complete subject available called as abstract mathematics, where if you say 1 plus 1 is equal to 3 and you set on to build certain thing and prove certain things, still you will be able to prove things saying 1 plus 1 equal to 3. Now if you are said that 1 plus 1 is equal to 2, then you will start imagining everything as 1 plus 1 is equal to 2, and whatever reveals to you whatever will reveal to you will be in that perception in which you set your mind up. If I said 1 plus 1 is equal to 3 and I start visualizing everything with respect to that, a new universe will reveal to you.
Yeah, I believe that case, like, like everything, I mean, I guess everything is there, right? Like art, science, everything is there. Everything expresses itself. in its own
No,
way.
yes, Heisenberg's principle itself, if you put it philosophically instead of mathematically, it would
They will
say
cringe. They will cringe.
They will cringe.
They will roll in their graves.
it would say, finally it has to say that we are living in an infinite spectrum of possibilities. The possibility which you want to see, if you want to see, you will see only that possibility. If you want to see the other possibilities, you set your mind, a new universe, a new possibility will reveal to you. So it's an infinite possibility. Finally, whatever we do, it comes to self-satisfaction. That's it. Whatever we read, whatever we study, doesn't matter if you are not satisfied this
I
moment,
like that. I
if
think
one is not
we can
accomplished.
conclude it because what you mentioned to me that day, that you're studying something and it doesn't allow you to, as in the moment you cannot exist at peace. Then what is the point of all the knowledge if you're not able to exist in the moment at peace?
Exactly.
As in you're not okay with, you're still always striving, then eventually you're not happy with the moment. You're not even existing. So I like that. Then, we can conclude on.
Okay. Example these two. 1 and 2.
The renegades.
Suppose he's reading a lot. He's putting a.
Come. You can settle. You can come up front. Can you move a few seats?
Yeah. Sure. Suppose he's reading a lot, putting a lot of effort to study and to know about things, but he's not in peace. Okay, his state of mind is very much disturbed. He's in action, continuous action to do things. The same guy, he's not reading anything, he's not studying anything. Just an example. But he's very peaceful, very content at this time. He doesn't care about anything, but he's very peaceful at this time. Now, finally, the purpose of existence comes to this: whatever he is doing, only to find that peace. But right now, that is not happening because he's into finding the peace.
Yeah,
Which
either
he
you're
cannot
finding or
find
you're found it.
because it is there already. There. So finally, whatever we do, whatever we discuss, whatever we study, is finally comes to self-satisfaction. If I'm self-satisfied, peaceful at this moment, then that is more than enough.
Science would claim that, oh yeah, you guys do all of that for that purpose. We don't do that. We do it for knowledge. But the very reason people get into science is because of satisfaction. Otherwise, they wouldn't be there.
Yes.
So they forget the underlying emotional reason that they were in the place of science.
I think I agree that
Person.
there is satisfaction in that. And the satisfaction comes because some facts like I'm knowing the objective truth.
Yeah,
and
so-
all that.
Tomorrow there will be somebody
I won't
who
be
will say
satisfied.
that that is wrong.
Let one person.
The focus has changed. The focus is now separate. The only difference worth talking about in science or realms, the only difference I would think is worth talking about is one is focused on satisfaction and one is focused on the truth. Satisfaction through the truth. Or so called the
Satisfaction
truth.
through the. See, what I've understood through these two paths, science and spirituality, they are working on the same goal, to know what the reality is. The science has its own method to do that, and spirituality has its own method to do that. But what I found so funny about science is,
Ironic.
science has not reached a final product yet. It is still in search, but spirituality knows. It will, any philosophical book you will say, they will concretely say that this is the truth. But no, yes.
But
Yeah, I don't
like
wanna-
look at
You know, it's a risky path to tread.
So we can't.
what did he say?
He already went into a very
That's-
black
we cannot
hole and
confirm or deny.
and he
That's,
back to
that's a
us.
tragedy about spirituality. It cannot give you proof. It can only demand faith.
For starters.
See, when,
That's exactly
I
the positive
Googled-
point about science.
Ah.
It does not
Okay.
demand faith.
Wait, guys, let's stop here. Let's take the discussion to another
Yes.
level. We have another.
Yay.
Can we have a round of applause for Srini? Thank you so much. So we had like a interesting talk where Mani introduced us to yogic philosophy, and for the people that have just come in now, the learning circle we started 2 months ago. We just were interested in learning, and a few of us got together to discuss interesting subjects. It's been 2 months now, and we wanted to open it up to more young people passionate about learning. So the idea of the group is we're giving a platform to young people to discuss whatever they are interested in. We don't have an agenda as such. We're very flexible with the agenda. Whatever the topic is, it's completely alright. And we're open to anybody. We don't care where you come from. We're just interested in what you can actually, give to the group. We're all very passionate about learning. So today we had 2 talks scheduled. I have and I was going through some questions that everyone can have an interesting opinion on. So on Google I looked for questions of life. I didn't find anything funny. I just wanted to see if we can have a discussion on this, and we'll move into Sid's talk. Do you want to speak, because we just had a talk right now?
We should
Can we have a discussion, or do you want to go to the talk
we can
directly?
take a 2-3 minute break also.
Exactly.
Hi, Gaurav. Nice to see you, man.
How sweet. You want to spread it around? Or you can just spread it around and
I think nahi, but people will self-serve them. You've gotten it, that's more than enough.
you can pass it around.
Something to eat. Oh wow. Okay.
Okay, once you're done, just
Thanks, Jiva.
make sure you throw it.
इसके अंदर ही
Thanks, Jiva. Abhishek,
Thank you so much.
Direct perception, my boy.
This happens when you stay with this kind of people, man. Gaurav. That's the
You guys make sure we don't litter
इसके
and
अंदर
we
इसके अंदर
keep it back in the plastic bag. I've given it. Everyone's got it.
Yes, she got
Everyone's got it. तू खा ले एक बार. हो गया.
कितना उसका वो ये ले ले
one.